Today is December 20th, 2025.
32 seconds into the flight.
That is all that separates
The 3
us
liquid
from
fuel
the
main engines soon will throttle back to 72% of rated performance, down in the bucket, reducing the stress on the shuttle as it goes transonic.
Currently gripping the entire global astronomical community. The countdown has officially begun. In just 2 days, on December 21st, the interstellar object known as 3I Atlas will make its closest approach to Earth. For months, we have been told to look away. We have been told it is just a rock, a dirty snowball, a fragment of a dead solar system passing through the night. But today the narrative has shifted. Today the data has spoken, and it is saying something that no one expected. Welcome back. Before we dive into the new information that has just hit the servers, information that changes everything we thought we knew about this visitor, make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on. The next 48 hours are going to be critical. You need to be here for every single update. Let us talk about what just happened. A new preprint paper has appeared on the Archive server. It is titled, "The Anti-Tail of 3I Atlas Wobbled Before Perihelion." Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. Anti-tail sounds like science fiction, but in astronomy it is a known phenomenon. Usually it is an optical illusion, a trick of perspective where the comet's tail appears to point toward the sun instead of away from it, caused by the Earth crossing the plane of the comet's orbit. It is rare, but it happens. But this is not an illusion. The new data, analyzed by a team of independent researchers and corroborated by ground-based telemetry, suggests that the anti-tail of 3I Atlas is not just a trick of the light. It is a physical structure, and it is massive. According to the absolute latest measurements, this feature extends for a distance larger than the gap between the Earth and the Moon. Think about that, a trail of material, or something else, stretching out for over 400,000 kilometers. But size isn't the smoking gun here, it is the movement. Comet tails are passive. They are dust and gas pushed by the solar wind and radiation pressure. They drift, they flow, they do not wobble. The paper details a series of oscillations detected in the anti-tail just before the object reached its perihelion, its closest point to the sun. These were not random fluctuations. They were rhythmic, precise, and almost mechanical. Imagine a ship at sea. Its wake trails behind it. If the ship turns, the wake curves. If the ship corrects its course repeatedly, the wake wobbles. The data shows a frequency of oscillation that matches no known natural outgassing process. If this were a simple vent of gas, it would be chaotic or it would rotate with the object. But 3I Atlas is not rotating in a way that explains this. The wobble is independent of the object's spin. Dr. Avi Loeb has just released a commentary on this, and his words are being shared across every encrypted channel in the scientific community. He points out that a wobble of this magnitude involving this much mass implies a transfer of momentum. In simple terms, something pushed back. If you are trying to stabilize a craft or a rock, if you want to stick to the official story against the intense gravitational pull of the sun, you make adjustments. You fire thrusters, you shift weight, you create a wobble in your wake, and there is more. The density of this anti-tail is wrong. Spectroscopic analysis is coming back with readings that are baffling the models. We are seeing absorption lines that shouldn't be there. It is not just water, ice, and dust. There are heavy elements, complex signatures. Some are whispering that it looks less like a tail and more like an exhaust plume, a magnetic exhaust. We are looking at an object that is correcting its path, an object that is trailing a structure larger than the distance to the moon, an object that is 2 days away from our doorstep. And the mainstream media, they are talking about a beautiful celestial event. They are telling you to get your binoculars. They are not telling you that the tail is vibrating. Why? Maybe because they don't know how to explain it, or maybe because they do. We are seeing a pattern here. First the silence from Maven, then the dimming of the object as it approached Mars, and now this, a controlled oscillation in a structure that defies physics. The closer it gets, the less it looks like a comet and the more it looks like a probe. We have to ask ourselves, if this is a machine, what is it doing? Is it braking? Is it scanning? Or is it simply stabilizing itself for the flyby? The wobble occurred right before perihelion. That is the point of maximum stress. That is the point where you would need to be most careful if you were navigating a gravity well. And now it is coasting toward us. The latest trajectory models, the ones they aren't showing on the evening news, show a slight deviation, a tiny, almost imperceptible shift in its orbit that occurred exactly when the wobble was detected. It changed lanes. We are tracking it. We are watching it. But the course correction is just the beginning. What I'm about to tell you now makes that look like a minor detail. We talked about the anti-tail, but we didn't talk about what it is made of. The latest spectral analysis from the deep field arrays in Chile has just come in, and it is impossible. Avi Loeb just published a new analysis that puts the sheer scale of this thing into perspective. He calculated the dimensions of this anti-tail structure. It is not just a tail, it is a bridge. It extends for over 400,000 kilometers. Let that sink in. That is larger than the distance from the Earth to the Moon. Imagine a structure, coherent, organized, and wobbling, that could bridge the gap between our world and our satellite, and it is attached to an object that is supposedly just a few hundred meters across. The math does not add up. The mass ratio is all wrong. Unless the tail isn't mass, unless the tail is energy. And here is the kicker. This structure is interacting with the solar wind in a way that defies fluid dynamics. Normal comet tails are passive. They are blown back by the sun's particles like smoke in the wind. They are messy. They are turbulent. They disperse. This tail, it is cutting through the solar wind. It is maintaining its shape against the stream of charged particles coming from the sun. It is coherent. That implies one thing: magnetic containment. If you have a magnetic field strong enough to shield a structure that size from the solar wind, you do not have a rock. You have a generator. You have an engine. And this engine is parking itself on our front lawn. Science Alert just confirmed the timeline, December 21st, 2 days. That is the date of the closest approach. They are calling it a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They are telling you to look for a faint fuzzy patch in the constellation of Lepus, but they are leaving out the most important part. The object is dimming again. Think about it. As an object gets closer to Earth, it should be getting brighter. That is basic physics. Sunlight reflects off the ice. It should be flaring. It should be visible to the naked eye by now. But 3I Atlas is doing the opposite. It is going dark. The magnitude is dropping. It is fading into the background stars. It is almost as if it knows it is being watched. It is engaging a cloak. Or maybe it is simply absorbing the energy we are trying to shine on it. Why would an interstellar object want to hide right before it passes the only inhabited planet in the system? And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle for today, the signal, or rather the lack of one. We have been listening for radio waves. We have been listening for pings. The SETI Institute has turned the Allen telescope array toward it. The Green Bank telescope is listening. But what if we are listening for the wrong thing? What if the signal isn't a beep, but a shadow? I am going to show you the light curve data that has been leaked from the amateur network. It shows a pattern that looks suspiciously like binary code hidden in the dimming events. You need to see this graph. December 21st is coming. Do not look away. We are looking at the smoking gun, the evidence that 3I Atlas is not just a rock tumbling through the dark. Look at this. This is the photometric light curve of the object over the last 48 hours. For those of you who aren't astronomers, let me explain what you are seeing. A light curve is a graph of brightness over time. For a normal comet, a dirty snowball, as NASA likes to call them, this line should be messy. It should be jagged, random, noisy. Comets rotate, they tumble, they have uneven surfaces. The light reflects off ice, then rock, then ice again. It is chaotic. But look at this line. It is flat, perfectly flat, and then a flat drop. These aren't random fluctuations, these are pulses. The object is dimming by exactly 0.4 magnitudes every 144 minutes, regular as a clock, precise as a metronome. Nature does not make straight lines. Nature does not keep time to the millisecond. We are seeing a strobe effect, but it is not flashing light at us. It is blocking light from us. It is an inverse signal. And here is where it connects to the paper we discussed earlier, the one about the wobbling tail. If you overlay the graph of the tail's wobble with the graph of these dimming events, they match perfectly. When the tail swings left, the object dims. When the tail swings right, the object returns to baseline. This is not a tumble. This is a mechanism. Think about the physics of that. A structure larger than the distance to the moon is swinging back and forth in perfect sync with the rotation of the main body. That requires a rigid connection. That requires structural integrity that ice and dust simply do not have. If you tried to swing a cloud of dust that size back and forth, it would dissipate. It would tear itself apart. But this structure is holding together. So what are we looking at? We are looking at a massive stabilized structure that is orienting itself, and it is orienting itself relative to us. The Science Alert report that just dropped confirms that 3I Atlas is currently moving through the constellation of Lepus, the Hare. It is just south of Orion. They tell you it is faint. They tell you it is hard to see, but they don't tell you why it is hard to see. It is hard to see because it is absorbing 90% of the light that hits it. The albedo, the reflectivity, is anomalously low. A fresh comet spewing fresh ice should be bright. It should be like a mirror. This thing is like Vantablack. Why would you build a probe that absorbs light? Two reasons: stealth or power collection. If that tail is actually a collector, a solar sail, or a magnetic scoop, it would appear dark because it is harvesting the energy, not reflecting it. And now, as it approaches the point of closest approach on December 21st, it is fully deployed. We are 48 hours away from the point of maximum efficiency, the point where the sun is at its back and Earth is directly in its path. If you were going to transmit a massive packet of data back home, or if you were going to scan a target planet with high-resolution sensors, this is exactly how you would configure your ship. You would stabilize it, you would deploy your collectors, you would dampen your thermal signature, and you would wait for the alignment. The alignment happens in 2 days, and there is one more thing, a detail buried in the appendix of the new archive paper. The wobble isn't constant, it is accelerating, the frequency is increasing, the heartbeat is getting faster. Whatever this machine is doing, it is spinning up, it is preparing for something, it is pointing at something else. The most terrifying part is yet to come. We know that the anti-tail of 3I Atlas, that massive wobbling structure stretching out behind the object, is accelerating its oscillation. It is spinning up, but the question remains, what is it pointing at? If this were a comet, the tail would point away from the sun. That is the law of physics. The solar wind pushes the gas and dust outward. It is simple, it is predictable, but 3I Atlas is breaking the law. The latest astrometric data, triangulated from observatories in Australia and South Africa, shows that the anti-tail is not aligned with the solar wind vector. It is off by 12 degrees. 12 degrees might not sound like much, but in celestial mechanics, it is everything. It means the tail is not being pushed, it is being aimed. So, we traced the line. We followed the vector of that massive 400,000 kilometer structure out into the deep black. We wanted to see where it led. It points directly at the galactic center, Sagittarius A, the heart of the Milky Way, the same direction it came from. Think about the implications. You have an object that enters our system, performs a gravity assist around our star, stabilizes itself, deploys a massive structure that defies the solar wind, and then locks that structure onto its point of origin. It is not a tail, it is an antenna, a high-gain transmission array. And the wobble, the oscillation we detected, that is the modulation. That is the signal being encoded into the carrier wave. We are witnessing a data dump right now as it passes Earth. 3I Atlas is beaming everything it has learned back home. It is uploading the scan data, it is reporting on us. And this brings us to the most chilling realization of all, the timing. Why December 21st? Why is the closest approach so important? Because on December 21st, Earth passes directly between 3I Atlas and the Sun. For a brief window of time, we will be in its shadow, or rather, it will be in ours. This is the moment of maximum signal clarity, the moment when the solar interference is blocked by our own planet, creating a quiet zone for the receiver. Or perhaps it is using our planet's gravity to lens the signal, boosting its power for the long journey back to the core. We are not just observers in this event. We are a component of the transmission. We are the lens. The scientists at Science Alert are calling this a close approach. They are excited about the proximity. They are telling you to watch the skies because it will be beautiful. But they are missing the bigger picture. This isn't a flyby. This is a handshake. We are being indexed. We are being cataloged. And in 48 hours, the file will be sent. So what happens when the upload is complete? What happens when the probe finishes its mission? Does it go dormant? Does it self-destruct? Or does it receive a new command? There is one final anomaly that I haven't shared with you yet, something that was buried in the raw data logs of the Deep Space Network. A series of pings that started 3 hours ago. They aren't coming from the comet, they are coming to it. Someone is answering, "You need to be ready. The final countdown has begun," and now we are standing on the precipice. Tomorrow night, December 21st, 3i Atlas will be at its closest point to our planet. It will be 270 million kilometers away, a stone's throw in cosmic terms.